What's good, people? We are live Tuesday. Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not going to waste no time today. I'm going to give a couple shout outs and I'm jumping right in. Peace to Haitian Space Program. Peace to Aaron Stamper. GF Warrell, what's good? Welcome back. FU2. We got all the regulars in the building. Gregory Nettis, what up? Inspired Servant Scripture. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. We really appreciate it. Let me scroll down. Maddie Cakes Muhammad. You made it this week. Let me see. I'm scrolling down. Dan Marizzuti was good. Jeffrey Guilty was good. I got my man in the building. We go back over 30 years. And it's a pleasure to have him on here. We're going to talk production. We're going to talk hip hop. We're going to talk history. Welcome to the show, my man, Ced-Gee from the Ultramagnetic MCs.
Peace to my brother, Kenny Parker.
This is a real pleasure. Now, we've spoken briefly about this before, and I talk a lot on this channel. You have much respect on this channel from people that love your history and ultra. So let's waste no time. Let's jump
to it. Let's jump into it.
Let me get a quick little backstory. We're gonna jump right to, how did you meet Scott LaRock?
Well, we grew up together. Scott, we grew up on the west side of the Bronx. Scott lived in Featherbed Lane projects, which we were in the tenement buildings. The projects was like living in condominiums.
Exactly. Tenements were like pre-war.
And back then, people had pride in the projects and they kept them clean. So it was a different set of people in there.
Right. Well, the project was not that old.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the people who lived in it appreciate where they lived. They wasn't shitting on the elevator and pissing.
Right.
You know, they wasn't doing that to where they lived.
Right.
See, we have a different breed of people in now. So, so it was clean, and like you said, they were new. So we looked at them like, even though it was affordable housing, we looked at it like they were rich.
So how old were you like when you met Scott? A kid?
I say about sixth, seventh grade.
Y'all like 10, 11 years old, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, because what we used to do, we used to like every block, they used to take it upon themselves. Like before there was tournaments and leagues, you had your own block team.
Right. Absolutely.
So we would play the featherbed and basketball, two-hand touch football, and that's what we did. Stickball, baseball. This is what we did.
Right.
We'd go up there, they'd come down to the block, then we'd go up there because they had the basketball courts. So it was two guys who our family bonded with. It was with Scott and a cat named Robert York.
Okay.
Like his father was actually a councilman in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Robert and my oldest brother Kenny became good friends, and Scott and my brother Tony became good friends. But Scott and me kind of continued it after we moved from the west side, and then Scott himself moved from over there. So then Scott was staying with his girl Jenny,
right,
in the next building to us. It's 1358. So Scott used to come up and just build with me and my youngest brother Patrick, who's who's also deceased. But and to be honest, Pat was the real brain. Like Scott was the brain as far as business, but Pat knew. Like, see, we didn't know anything about SB12s. That was all Patrick.
I was about to get to that. Yeah.
Patrick schooled us to that. We knew Scott knew about the emulator though, but that was like not like not even a second sampling on the emulator. It was 0.5 sampling on
So
the emulator.
y'all both in the same neighborhood. You're playing ball, and y'all both got into music, DJing at the same time, ish.
Yeah, because it was all related. Like, see, when they say the 5 elements of hip hop, to me, that's selling it short.
Yeah.
Hip hop was a total lifestyle, and you was called a b-boy. It wasn't just those elements. It was the way you walked, the way you talked, the way you tied your shoe, the way you wore your hat, the little sag on your pants, not under your ass, but there was just certain things that separated you from the so-called norm, and you was looked out as an outcast. The b-boy and the b-girl were the outcasts, and I'm just gonna say it. You had cats like DJ Hollywood who hated hip hop at Club 371. At Club 371, and I have witnesses for this. If you started breakdancing, you were immediately thrown out the club.
Wow. So you're saying because DJ Hollywood is always mentioned in the early hip hop DJ, DJ Hollywood is always mentioned.
Hollywood was a great DJ, but he was a disco DJ. And he would bring in Flash and let somebody like Flash play 10 minutes. Then he's back to, Love Is the Message and the popular records on the radio. And he started incorporating elements of hip hop in. He started rapping on the records, but he was a disco DJ who hated hip hop.
Wow.
You weren't allowed, if you didn't have shoes and slacks on, you weren't allowed in 371. The b-boy was not allowed in there.
What year are we talking?
We're talking late 70s, early 80s. You just weren't allowed. And it was just, see, this is me and my brother Tony, who was Scott's friend. We had a debate when we were in high school. No, in 8th grade, this debate came. And he was thought because of Hollywood and them, the disco was popular.
Yeah, it was huge.
So my brother was like, yeah, rap's going to play out. And it's about, because, they was playing the records from the radio. So he was like, disco, it is. And I said, no. And to me, it was an easy equation. I said, hip hop is here because it's the young people who like it. They're going to get older and carry it on, whereas the people who like disco is out of here. And that's exactly what happened. But Hollywood hated hip hop. So a b-boy, you played ball a certain way. You had a swag. See, there was so many levels to it. It wasn't 5 elements.
It was
your whole lifestyle.
Right. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
You even poured your drinks different from everybody. I'm being real.
Yeah.
So the 5 elements was good for a commercial ploy, but it was much more than that. So
who had the dream of making actual records? Who made you think that was real?
Because of the cassettes, the way the cassettes were selling. People were selling the cassettes from the jams.
Oh, so you're talking like the Flash and Cold Crush?
The Cold Crush. The Cold Crush tapes were selling around the world.
Yes. Shout out to Cass. Shout out to the whole Cold Crush.
Shout out to the Cold Crush, BX and Flash and them. See, what's crazy, let me tell you what's crazy. You had, like I said, this is on Washington Avenue. You had Scott in 1358, Ced-Gee in 1372, Scorpio in 1420, AD in 1468, I think, or something like that. And Clark Kent was, I forgot what building Clark Kent, the DJ Clark Kent was in. This was all on Washington Avenue.
That's crazy.
All on Washington Avenue.
So you decide. So when did you take rap and production? Or were you an MC first that produced, or were you a producer who rapped?
No, I was actually a DJ, strict
You were a
DJ
DJ
at first.
first,
Uh, I was a DJ, emulating Scott, because
right?
Scott was a DJ.
So Scott was
So
ahead of you.
yeah,
Scott's a
yeah,
little older.
yeah. Scott's like a year and change older than me. He's like
Okay,
my brother Tony in front of me. That's why they
okay,
hung.
okay.
So I was emulating Scott and Mo Love, my cousin from Brooklyn. You know,
Shop more love, yeah.
we came and we introduced them to break beats. So me and Mo formed a crew called the People's Choice Crew. It was like all DJs. It was like 10, 11 DJs. So
Wow.
we used to battle ourselves. Like we used to do little house parties and stuff,
Right,
free and $50. And we have to take the cab and we really spending our money. But it was just love.
right.
So everybody be like, yeah, I know what Ced's going to do. Watch this. He's going to blend in Spoonie G with that. Everybody knew everybody's set.
Yeah,
So then my brother, because I was still playing ball, because actually I was trying to go back to college, because I had academic problems at the University of Buffalo. So I was DJing as, like I said, love. Like, wasn't nothing serious. So then my brother, Patrick, sat me down and said, you need to take this serious. People are making real money now. That little bullshit house stuff you're doing for free and that's a waste of your time. And then Scott came in and said, yeah. So then Kool Keith,
What year was this?
This was in about 86, 85-ish, 85-ish.
Okay.
So, yeah, 85. So then, that's when my brother had started the Mastermind production thing, him and Keyboard Money Mike.
Shout out Mike.
Yeah, they were doing the production for Chris and them, Chris original crew.
All right, now go back. Wait, let's go back. Okay, so Scott and you come up. You start getting serious about it in like 85-ish.
Yeah.
And Scott was
in. He was doing this thing, Broadway International.
He was already in the clubs.
Yeah, he was popping. He was popping.
So
my brother and Keyboard Money Mike had the Mastermind production thing. So you had Chris and his crew from the Shelter.
How did you meet Chris?
Through Scott.
Oh, so Scott started
Chris was in the Shelter. Yeah.
Right.
So he brought Chris over and Chris came with the crew. Scott said to check him out. So Keyboard Money Mike was doing the production. And then you had Kool Keith and his partner, this kid. But the difference was in both crews, you had members who thought they were better than what they were.
Right.
I'm not even going to say the member in Keith's and Chris crew who thought he was all that, because he used to talk a lot of junk, and I'm going to respect Chris' wishes. Don't give somebody light who don't deserve light.
Absolutely.
But he thought he was the best in the crew, and Chris was hands down the best. So Scott was listening to the stuff, and he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna work with Chris."
So is this Scott LaRock in the Celebrity 3 era?
Yeah. Scott, the Celebrity 3, that was Chris' crew.
So Scott got a record deal, or whatever you want to call what they had. He got a record deal. Scott LaRock and the Celebrity 3. I believe that was their first recording.
We got the advance, yeah.
Right. You guys were you and Keith together by this point?
Yeah. But I was the DJ.
Okay, and he was the MC.
For Keith, him and the other kid.
Yeah, okay.
But the other kid thought he was better than Keith, and he was borderline trash. He was a good singer. He was a great, I'm going to give him his props. He was a great singer at the time.
Right.
He was very soulful, but for some reason he was trying to rap, and he really thought he was better than Keith. And sometimes when we was doing sets, back then we had the 4-track, so I'll be cutting, and he rhymed, and it'd be Keith's time to rhyme, and Keith would start rhyming, and he would start singing over Keith's rhyme.
While Keith is rhyming, he's like on top of him.
He'll start singing over his rhyme, so you can see the frustration in Keith. Like, so Keith was ready to quit. I said, "No, Keith, look, this is the deal. Show me how to start, formulating rhymes. Point me in the right direction, help me, and I want to rhyme, and we do an album together. Then after that, you go and do your solo thing." That was the agreement between me and Keith. We was gonna do an Ultra album, then we do a Keith album.
So when y'all got together, you called yourselves Ultramagnetic MCs.
Keith made up the name, yeah.
And he helped you to formulate your rhymes.
To become a rhymer, yeah.
Dope.
So now you have Scott and Celebrity 3, and this is what's funny. We're not gonna go into all the particulars because we're trying to get to the meat. Their first record got to advance was a production of my brother and Keyboard Money Mike, but Sleeping Bag wanted Scott to have all the rights, so they didn't use that track. They used another track that was trash. So
is this 1241? Because I know there was two BDP released. Well, it wasn't BDP. Scott and Chris released Scott LaRock and the Celebrity 3, and then 1241 was on Sleeping Bag.
Yeah, that's the one that was terrible.
Yeah.
So
the production was still a drum machine type production.
But look, this is what made it wild. Our first release, To Give You Love, was trash. Same thing. The production changed. We had it slamming one way. See, when you're young and you go into the studio, those speakers in the studio were deceptive. They sounded real good.
Absolutely.
Then when you got home, you was like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck?
We've all been there.
This sounded good in the studio. But see, now, unlike today, you had a limited amount of money. It wasn't no going back and fixing it.
This was
you had to roll with it. So then we all got that out the way. Scott hooks up with Bill Camaro, right?
B-Boy Records.
Yeah. So now we go ahead and we do Scott, me and Keith, we all decide that Keyboard Money Mike was too musical because that's when rap was changing. Right. We were using Keyboard Money Mike because at the time that's when the jingles were popular. You know, like
everybody, Jazzy Jeff had the Genie, I Dream of Genie.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So then the beats started coming in, the
sampling.
Yeah, the sampling started coming in. Real Roxanne, The Bridge, and it was hard now. And Mike Mike was too musical. And Chris was complaining, Keith was complaining. They like, I don't want all that on the record. So I said, okay, I'm going to get the SB12. And special thanks to my deceased aunt.
I was about to ask you now, SB12 was very rare.
I had the first one.
I was about to get to that because I believe it was like 2 G's.
No, it was 5,000.
And this is in 1986.
Yeah. So what happened? This is what I'm saying. Thanks to my aunt, because I couldn't pay for it straight up. I had to put it on plan month to month. Like lease to buy.
Yes. So
they wouldn't do it. Yeah, they wouldn't do it without a co-signer. So, I told you Mo Love's my cousin. His late mother was my Aunt Bernice. I loved it dearly. Without her, I don't know. She co-signed. And you know how families don't do that. Oh, baby, you ain't messing up my credit. You ain't messing up my credit. Right. So she co-signed and we was able to get the machine. So then after the disaster of To Give You Love, learning curve, we did Eagle Tripping.
Wait, pause. Ego tripping. You can't just blow past ego tripping
No,
like
I'm going into details.
right. Because the reason I say that is because at that time sampling was brand new, and I'm trying to explain. It was state of the art, and
Yeah.
this machine that you had was the state of the art machine. How did you learn how to use it?
Keyboard Money Mike. First off, I read the manual. I I,
Wow,
I,
that
I
man was like
literally
Greek.
I literally shut down life. So I read the manual and I knew all the functions of the machine. But being that I wasn't musical, my truncations would be off.
Okay.
So I'll be tapping it on time, but the beats will be way off. And Mike was like, "You got too much space in your truncations." So he showed me how to truncate. But then, skipping ahead, Paul C showed me how to super truncate fast, which played a big part of the BDP album.
Right. Can we talk about Paul C for a second? Because there's not a lot of information on Paul C. And rest in peace to him. He is one of the most influential. I don't want to know if is he an engineer or was he a producer?
He was both.
He's both, but he taught a couple of people, yourself, Large Professor, and I do believe he was working with Organized Confusion, and he was really like one of the early technicians of this machine.
See, you hit it on the nose. He was a technician, and I was a specialist. I did the things that you didn't find in the manual, which his technician techniques went outside of the manual. When he showed the fast truncation, that wasn't in the manual.
Okay.
He showed that. See, when you used to pull it up slowly, he showed just drag it up and listen to the sound. Then you know you on it, then pull it back a little. So then I started showing because I honestly through Aaron Fruits. He was booking sessions.
What record label was Aaron? Tough City Records.
So Aaron was booking sessions in 1212. And then Calliope was changing because the engineer who we had worked with Eagle Trip and Bill Camaro had committed suicide in Canada. And Calliope, their success went to their head. Ultramagnetic blew Calliope up. Ultramagnetic, let me rephrase it. Ultramagnetic and Stetsasonic. Nobody was using Calliope. Ultramagnetic and Stetsasonic after Ultra came out and that Ghost Stetsa, and then Milk is Chilling. All done in Calliope. Calliope's business boomed. So now they were fronting on Stat and us. We'd be like, yo, we need to get in quick 2 hours. Oh, no, we ain't got no time. See, say what you want about D&D, about Dave and them and D&D. Mm-hmm. This is why Primo stayed there. Mm-hmm. They never let their success went to their head.
To their heads, absolutely.
D&D, if I need, I'd be like, yo, Dave, I need to get in. I need to do a quick mix. He's like, all right, yo, we're going to set you up in studio such and such. Don't even worry about it. Just come in and knock it out. Wouldn't even charge because they knew who brought the business.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Calliope went to their head. So we have broke away from Calliope and we started going to 1212 because me and Paul had the magic because I was showing Paul how to do that, how to make an echo without an echo chamber through the SB2. I was just showing them other things. See, we were just building with each other.
Bouncing off each other.
Yeah, we literally wrote a new SB12 manual. And then I'll say Primo came in and added a new chapter.
Right.
Yeah. You had great producers back then, you know, like you said, Large Pole, you know, and a couple others that I can't pull off the top of the head, but Primo wrote a new chapter. Like I wrote a new chapter with sampling. If you listen to all the samples, right? The people who were sampling, they will either loop or chop a precise sound.
Right.
Like if it's a horn, they just sample, either they'll loop the horn or they'll chop a note. If it was a snare and they had a guitar on it, but it was mainly because of the engineer. The engineer would say, "Oh, we can't use that. The guitar is on it." And I used to say, "The hell with that." Like it ain't out. But if you ever got an original copy of Bait, the first Bait that Red used
I
to
had
play,
Bait. I don't know if it's original.
not the one on, not the one on the album. That was the remix.
Okay.
But the original one, all sampling laws were broken. It was just so dope. But Red had played it a lot, so we wanted to remix it for the album, which the album's joint was dope too. But
incredible.
But going back, so now we go into taking all of the music out of the extra music out. So now we brought Mike in and we had to tame him. See, yes, he played the keyboards, but he was playing what we told him to play. I could have brought in any musician to do that. He now, to his credit, because like I said, this is a truthful session. What was him with no coaching, and it was fly, but it wasn't the premise of the record, it was the end of the record. The dun 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 dun. That was all keyboard Money Mike. There was no influence. But that wasn't the record.
Right.
See the
dun, liberties.
Yeah, the dun dun dun, that was all me. You see? Because that was just basically like the DJ cutting. And I wanted to keep it simple. And then the bass line was a combination of bass lines from me and Keith.
Now, let me touch on this real quick for people to understand. There was only like maybe 2 people sampling like this at this time. It was Marley Marl
and me.
And he was making, like you said, MC Shan. He did Eric B. and Rakim. And you guys. And so now when sampling first started, everybody ran to James Brown. How did you get that synthetic substitution break? I believe you're the first guys to ever crack that break on Ego Tripping.
What happened with the synthetic substitution? Actually, there was a outside jam in front of Easy AD's building up the block. So I was out there and I was chilling. I was kind of depressed because To Give You Love had flopped, and we paid all the money out of our pocket. And blessed to some of our friends who took the hit with us. They invested. We pressed up, 5,000 copies, sold maybe 2. But so I was depressed, and the DJ just threw on Substitution, and the crowd was jamming. They was doing their thing, and I was like, the bell went off. Bing, bing.
As a DJ. Right.
Yeah. So I called Keith and I said, yo, we got to get Substitution. I don't have that break. Keith said, oh, I'll get it from my cousin. He got it. So then Keith went and got the record, and the rest is history. But now we're going to fast cut because this is about the BDP thing.
Yeah. Let's jump.
Yeah, we're going to jump to
the timeline because.
Yeah, that's all. Now we're in the 86. We're in the 86 now.
You guys dropped Ego Tripping
in 86.
Blows.
Yeah.
Right at this time, Scott and Chris are working on, I believe, South Bronx.
Not yet. They're getting ready to. After Ego Tripping dropped, they were Scott was getting everything formulated with Bill Camaro over at B-Boy Records. Right. So now, before we go on, let me explain to people what production is. And Marley needs to hear this. This is why there's a discrepancy between him and Eric B. When actually, this is what I'm saying. When you go with no ego and actually the truth. Today, when somebody's produced you, they give you what? They give you a reel, right? Right? They say, here's some beats. Pick the one you like.
Right.
So that's their productions most of the time. They giving you a reel means those tracks were their ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you brought in a track to me, right, and all you needed me to do is physically produce it, but it's your idea, I wasn't thinking of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I didn't say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Kenny, here's this beat, do it. And you said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
You had the idea. Now, if I do the idea exactly, like I said, if I do the idea exactly how you tell me, you're the producer. I'm just a musician.
Or engineer.
An engineer is the one who records it.
Okay.
A musician, like now, I can't play wah-wah guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I bring in a wah-wah guitarist and I tell him to play wah-wah-wah-wah-wah,
Mm-hmm.
and he plays wah-wah-wah-wah-wah-wah, he is not the producer. He's a hired musician who's playing what he's told. Now, if he says, yo, Ced, check this out. Wah, wah, wah. Now he took my idea and he's added to it. He is now a producer, but he's not the producer. Because without my wah, 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 he would have never got to that. So now it becomes produced by him and me. So that would be me and you.
Yes.
So now Eric B walks into the studio with Marley Marl. He says, I want to take Over Like a Fat Rat and Funky Drummer and make a record. So see, that's Eric's idea. That wasn't on Marley's reel. But Marley Marl added his own touch to it. See, Eric just wanted the straight Funky President sample with the straight sample from Fonda Ray's Over Like a Fat Rat. So if Marley would have did that, it would have been an Eric B production. But Marley took the drums from In Peace to President, played the Funky President beat, and then he took a little Casio keyboard and played the dun 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 dun. So now that means it's produced by Marley Marl and Eric B, not one or the other by themselves. And this is what the BDP album was. The tracks that were done were their ideas. I didn't give them a reel. Like, for instance, after they got everything situated, see, you skipped because you went right to South Bronx. They actually did poetry first.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so Scott brought in the James Brown record, and if you listen to poetry, that's some of the most intricate fucking chopping I ever did.
That's the first song you worked on with Scott?
Yeah, poetry.
How did y'all have that conversation? Did he say like, yo, I want you to work with me, or?
No, it was like I told you, there was already, everything was done up in the Ultra Lab. It was the mastermind, but then it changed to the Ultra Lab because now Ced-Gee was doing the production.
Okay.
So Scott came in, he said, took out the James Brown record, he said, yo, Ced, you think you could work with this? So I flipped it. So that is produced by Boogie Down Productions and Ced-Gee. See, for a long time I was saying I did it, but then I thought truthfully, you never had that idea. That was their idea.
And that was the first
single. That was the first single they released on B-Boy Records. South Bronx was next. No, you're right. I'm fucking up.
I'm trying to get my timeline right.
Yeah. No, you're right. Forgive me. That's why I'm glad you do diligence.
Okay. Poetry is the first song. Well, see, wait a minute. Let's go back.
No, let's go back. South Bronx was the first record.
Did you work on South Bronx?
No.
You did nothing on that song?
I did nothing on South Bronx.
Because I always felt those drum rolls were real intricate. And I was like, that sounds like a Ced-Gee drum roll.
No, because we were all together, they used the map that we had established. You understand? They did their own way, but it was the same map. The hits with the horns, done. Same format.
Now that you mentioned it, does sound similar to Ego Trip in the style.
Yes, But they did that in an 8-track studio in Queens, which we did the B-side to Eagle Trippin' Funky Potions at. So they did the South Bronx there. So now after South Bronx takes off and they're getting ready to do the album.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Because South Bronx blows, and now the semi-battle is on. But you guys are also hot too now. So y'all, because I remember y'all both kind of. How does it feel to have both of y'all as childhood friends have a hit record at the same time?
That was dope. We both had the hit records. We had the competitiveness between all of us. Mm-hmm. That's why everything was dope. It was like, oh shit, Ced and them rocking. We can't fuck up. We got to top them. See, and this is what it became.
Right. Because Chris says, sorry to cut you off, Chris always says that BDP and Ultra was so close, y'all were practically one group. He always says that.
Yes. And that's why Chris could have easily been with Ultra or Keith could have been with them.
That's crazy.
Because it was that close. And that's why it was competitive. It was like, oh man, they dropped. But it was love. You understand?
Yes.
See, a lot of people don't know we had our little battles, but they were cool. See, when Chris says Scott's a graduate and you eat your Lucky Charms cereals, he was talking to Ced-Gee.
Whoa!
But that's in-house battling.
Wait a minute. Newsflash. Pull up, selector. Pull up.
Because I hate Lucky Charms.
On the Criminal Minded song, when he says you better eat your Lucky Charms cereal.
Yeah.
That was a jab at you.
Yeah. Because I didn't graduate college and Scott did.
I get it. So y'all were just jabbing at each other.
Yeah, but it was all, it's like if we're all in the same block, when we go on to play the 3-man, you trying to win.
Right.
It wasn't nothing disrespectful.
Right. It's just like y'all just
snapping. It was a true statement. Yeah, snap. Nigga, you dropped out. Scott graduated. You trying to sound educated on the records.
Okay, so both of y'all blow 2 big, huge records in Union Square, Latin Quarters. I always talk about that on this channel. Mm-hmm. Then it's time to do The Bridge Is Over.
No. Poetry was first.
Okay.
Before The Bridges. Let me explain what happened.
Go ahead.
No. Now we got the timeline together.
Okay, go ahead.
South Bronx was first. Yeah. Then they say, yo, Ced, we're going to do the album. So they put out Poetry. They did. Listen. I'm breaking it. I'm telling you.
Go ahead.
Telling you what happened.
Go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Poetry was, let me see. You might be right. Let me rephrase. I might be jumping ahead because I'm trying to get to the meat. I might be jumping ahead. I think look. Yeah, it was the third because what happened, I forgot about the video at Union Square.
Right.
That was before Poetry.
Right.
So this is how the so Shan comes out with Kill That Noise.
Yes.
So Chris and Scott calls me. They go, yo, Ced, we got to go in the studio. And Chris said, I got the track. He said, I got the track. So we get to the studio. He said, we got to answer them right away. So we get to the studio. It was 7:00. The engineer goes, I'm sorry, fellas. It's my bad. I made a mistake. I got a session at 8. I can't let y'all in because this is a high-paying client. And we can't. So we're talking to him. Come on, man. Da. And he's like, that. So now it's like 7:15. So then Chris goes, look, this is what we do. We work to 8:00 and when we stop. It ain't no do XYZ. If we ain't done by 8, we just leave. So the engineer go, okay. So we get into the studio, and Chris pulls out a cassette, and he goes, Ced, just give me the sounds in the drum machine. Now, see, if I would have did exactly what he said, then it was all a Chris production.
Right.
So I'm going, the stock sounds, which you can get away with today.
Right.
But now that was the hard era.
Right.
I'm like, nah, Chris, we got to have a beat stronger than stock sounds. So Chris says, Chris goes, just because Chris had to go in and rehearse the piano part. Chris played that.
Right.
He said, just do that. I'm going to go rehearse the piano. So then I pull out the Impeach the President samples. I start hooking it up. So, I start doing the drum rolls. And here goes Scott. Scott goes, Ced, it's just the beat and the bass. You got to give me more of that. See, it was a team production.
Right, okay.
Then the cymbals, I did that one time. Scott said, nah, Ced, you got to give me more of that.
Oh, he wanted more of those cymbals?
Yeah, because like he said, being that was just the piano and the bass, the drums and the piano.
The drums got to be good.
Yeah, the drums had to be actual music.
Right.
So Scott was saying, give me more. So I hook all that up. Chris plays the piano and Scott mixes it and we're done. We started at 7:20, 7:25-ish. We're done by 8. The Bridge Is Over is done by 8.
In 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Recorded, mixed, programmed, vocals, done to cassette or whatever y'all saved it to.
Done by cassette. Then Scott took it to the acetate place, made acetates. Red Alert had it on the air that Saturday.
That's
magic.
Bananas.
So once again, that means that track was produced by KRS-ONE and Ced-Gee. Produced by KRS-ONE and Ced-Gee.
I agree.
Yeah.
Did you know after you heard it that this was going to be one of those songs that changed the game?
I knew it was going to be hot. I didn't know it was going to be that hot. Because it was just, put it like this. Like I said, we were competitors. Kool Keith was mad that I gave him them drums. He was like, you ain't have to give him them drums. You could have just did what he said. I'm like, no, but I'm associated with it. We got to be both. Yeah. It's the battle. We can't go out with us. We got the guns. All the chambers got to be full. He was like, you could have saved the drums. I'm like, no. We don't save. We use. But this is what I'm saying. So now we go to poetry after that.
Right. So now The Bridge Is Over explodes.
Yeah. And now we look.
Now it's time to do the album.
Yeah. Then poetry.
What conversation did you and Scott have? As far as working on the album, it was just a continuation, or y'all had a conversation?
It was no continuation because we were all together. It was just, when you're brothers. See, this is what I tell people when I said it was never, just like I said, me and Keith had an agreement, Ultra album, which he did a few Ultra albums before his solo album. We actually extended it. It was just, we were just out for everybody to do their best. I never asked for money from them. I never expected money. That's why when people say, I said, no, I never ask for money. So I'm not one of the people who won't ask for something and then when it blows up, hey, I didn't get paid.
Right.
To me, that's no honor.
Right.
I never did that. I did it out of love. It was somebody's got to jump off. You see what I'm saying? Somebody. Whereas you have people who are suckers and they're like, it's me or nothing.
Right.
This was a family. It was in the lab. We did shows in Canada together. We did a lot of stuff.
You were an unselfish ball player. You ran the point.
Yeah. So now the album comes, but this is the only discussion we had. Because like I said, it wasn't about money. It was about just the credit.
Right.
Scott said, yo, Ced, Bill's a sucker. He knows he's going to try to make it where you can't say nothing. He said, you got to stay on him and make sure he listens to you as a producer. And I said, well, I talked to him. He said he's going to look out. Scott said, no, you got to stay on Bill. And I took Bill for his word. And next thing you know, the album came out, produced by Boogie Down Productions. Special thanks to Ced-Gee. And no one ever could figure that out. They've never ever seen a credit like that.
I have this is the 45 box set right here.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the songs on the back. I just want to go down because I want to go song for song and see exactly what it is.
Okay.
You do The Bridge Is Over, huge. So you and Scott say it was just assumed that you guys are just going to work on the Criminal Minded album.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: in hindsight, now you look at the credits of The Bridge Is Over, and it's already now you like you said you co-produced or produced equally that song.
I was a producer, produced by KRS-ONE, Ced-Gee.
But what did it say on The Bridge Is Over? Because if I recall, it just says produced. In my mind, it says produced by Boogie Down Productions. I don't have the record right in front of me.
It probably did, but to be honest, I never even read the label.
Right. That didn't raise a red flag, right? You didn't.
No. I never read the label because, like I said, I didn't do it for that.
Right. Okay.
I was looking at it for the name to be on the album. See?
Got it.
So I never even read the Bridge Is Over label. I'm being honest. I never did.
Got it.
I never even read. I never even read Eagle Tripping's label. It was just the records were out and they was hot.
They was hot fire.
Yeah, they were hot. So
okay. The track listed here says Poetry, which you talked about. That was the first. Okay, basically that's the second record you did because you did The Bridge Is Over.
Yeah.
Then Scott came to the lab. Y'all worked on Poetry. Second song here is South Bronx. Third song is 9mm Goes Bang. Did you work on that song?
No.
Fourth song here is Word From Our Sponsor, which ended up being on the B side of the Bridge Is Over single.
Same thing.
Did you work on that?
Yeah. Same thing. It wasn't my idea. They brought it in and it became something else. Yeah, but that was Scott. That was Scott's suggestion because I just did it once. And Scott said, yo, dude, I said, come on, Scott. He said, no, fuck that. Do that shit. So I did, we have fun with
drums?
That. Yeah.
The drums.
Yeah.
That was dope. Very dope. Elementary.
That and the dump, all that bass line was chopped up. Everything was chopped. That's why it comes in and out.
Incredible. Elementary.
No.
Dope Beat.
No.
And I could have swore that was you, man. I would have bet my life that was you on Dope Beat. The remix for the P is Free.
Yes. That was one of the dopest productions ever. Let me tell you why.
I agree.
Let me tell you why. Now, this is a story. That record wasn't for Chris. That's why it was a remix. There was already a P is Free.
Right, the beat with D Nice doing the beatbox.
Yeah. So what happened was the kid I told you about, who, Scott had a lot of love in his heart. So the kid I told you about who was down to Celebrity 3, who thought he was real good, he kept begging Scott, when are you going to look out for me? So he's in the studio. He's like, come on, Scott, man. I've been here and you never look out, blah, 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 blah. So Scott pulls out the Yellow Man record and he says, yo, Ced, you can hook this up? Mr. Parker, I did that beat in 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Drums, the chop, the lay, everything. 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
So did Scott have an idea? Like, did he tell you I wanted to go do it? Or he just said, "Can you do something with this?"
Yeah. He gave me that's how we worked. He gave this is what I'm saying. It was their ideas, and then they'd give it to me and say, "What can you do with this?" And if they liked what I did, they went with it. If they didn't, they didn't.
But see, wait. Because that's a little bit more than what you were saying before. Because now if you say, I want you to take Funky President and take Fat Rat and put it together, I'm telling you this is what I want. But if I just hand you Fonderay over like a Fat Rat and say, what can you do with this? And you make Eric B. president out of it, that's a whole different level of production to me.
Yeah, but he played the same drum beat. He didn't change he just changed the drum sound.
Right. Okay. So the reason why I use that analogy is because I know Scott just handed you the Yellow Man.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. If Scott didn't hand me the Yellow Man, then the beat would see Scott knew that something could come out of the Yellow Man. He just had faith that I can bring it out. So it was the same thing when I did the little Scott was like, "No, give me more of that. Give me more of that." So let me tell you the story now.
No, wait, go ahead. Sorry.
So we gonna go back on it, but so now the kid goes in and he starts rapping, and it's trash. Well, I ain't gonna say trash. It's just not KRS level. Let me not say that. That's harsh. He has skills, but it just wasn't with what Chris can do. So now we're looking at each other. Scott's looking at me. I'm looking at Scott. Then Chris give a look. Then Scott goes in the corner. He talks to Chris. Then they wave me over and say, "Yeah, we're going to let him finish." And then Chris going to go in. So they let him finish. He walked out. He thought he had, a smash.
Oh, wow.
We just wanted to get him out of there because he was a pest.
So he left the studio with that song in hand, like everybody.
No, he didn't have a cassette. He didn't have a cassette. No, he just did the lyrics.
But in his mind, he thought he left with a hit.
Yeah.
And then imagine when he heard the. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So Chris went in and he decided to do the P is free.
Yeah.
Again over this particular.
Over that beat. Yeah.
Classic. That's a great song.
Once again, it was done spontaneous. Just see, whenever we did stuff spontaneous, it was the magic was just I can't speak on it,
Okay, let me go down. Okay, the bridge is over here. Super Ho. You worked on Super Ho as well. Wow.
Yeah. Same thing. They gave me the record. Then Scott added the little cheesy phone in there.
Yo, Chris, I really knocked the boots off the 2 big butt females last night. Right?
Yeah. So that was, I hooked it up.
Did you pick those drums?
Yeah. I did all that.
Because those drums been sampled a bunch of times. I mean, that whole album has been sampled so many times. That's why the impact of that album, production-wise, is so far-reaching. And that's why I'm very thankful that you're on here. Everybody who just checked in, we're talking to Ced-Gee of Ultramagnetic MCs. This is the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're getting into the Criminal Minded album. You did Super Ho. Wow, that's another really hot song. Last song on here, Criminal Minded.
No.
You did not work on Criminal Minded.
That shit was dope.
That was dope. Real incredible. I got to really get to the bottom of these songs. So basically you worked on Poetry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you worked on half the album.
Yeah.
10 songs. You worked on 5. You produced on 5 of the songs. Right here on this box set, the credit says all cuts written and produced by KRS-ONE and Scott LaRock. Special thanks to Ced-Gee. I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah, that was the Bill Camaro.
corner.
Yeah, that's what I told you. Nobody's ever seen a credit like that.
You guys finished the album. It's done. It's coming out. Did you have any discussion about, like you said, he warned you, Scott warned you in the beginning about this guy. Did you guys have any discussion after the album was done?
Yeah, I called him. I said, "Yo, what the fuck is that?" He said, he tried to play it off. Oh, it was a mistake. Da 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 da.
Who's trying to play?
Bill Camaro. So he goes, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of you." So now it's around Christmas. I get a call from Bill, and he goes, "Sam, meet me down on Canal. I told you I'm gonna take care of you." Now, you know, that was the hottest album in New York.
Right. The album drops March 3rd, 1987. So Scott passes August of 87. So you say he called you Christmas time.
Around
in
December. Yeah.
What are we talking? 8 months later.
Yeah, 8 months later. Now he says, "I told you I'm gonna look out for you." So he calls me down to Canal Street. And the guy gave me a check for $250.
You are lying.
No, listen to the story he told me. He said, "Yeah, we're not really selling too much. It's just hype." And I'm looking at him like, you lying through your teeth, because, you know, we were hooked up with all the record stores. Music Factory, my boy, late Manny, he used to tell us what was moving, how it couldn't stay on the shelves. Damn, what was that one on there was another one on Broadway.
Not Music Factory.
No, I said
not downtown.
Not downtown. There's another one that was on Broadway that everybody used to get records from.
Tower?
No, it was like right across the street from Macy's. Going more towards 33rd.
I don't remember that one.
That's what, matter of fact, TR Love used to work in there. That's where we met TR at.
Shout out to TR Love.
Yeah. But anyway, that's where, you know, these stores used to tell us what was hot, when your record was slowing down. So he was just lying through his teeth. The dude was a criminal. And ultimately, that's why Scott and Chris wanted to get off of there. Because he jerked me on the credit, but they wasn't getting their share.
They got jerked, beyond jerked.
That's what I'm saying. So we all got beat on it. It just was different levels, you know.
At the same time, this is what I always find amazing. At the same time that you're working in the lab on Criminal Minded, you're also working on your project.
Yeah.
Which is I still have, I bought the CD when the CD reissued. Let me see when the CD reissued, I had to pick this up because it had the Ego Tripping, the full version.
Yeah, the full version.
The album vinyl, it cuts off.
Yeah.
I was so mad because the 12-inch was so hard to get. And I had the album vinyl, and when Ego Tripping, this is one of my favorite records of all time. But I listen to Ego Tripping at least twice a week, every day, every week, like right now. And when it cut off, I was like, "Yo, they cut off Ego Tripping! What the hell?" So when this came out with the whole thing, I was excited.
We had to, because it was only a single vinyl. So what happened? The more minutes you have per side, the lower the volume gets.
Right, absolutely.
That's why, if you remember the original vinyl of the album, when you got to like Delta Force, and a minute less, those tracks were so low, because what he did to get it in, to get most of the album loud, he ran it regular, and then when he got to the end, he slowed it up. So now those songs went down in volume, and that's why the reissue was dope, because all the volumes were equal now. You know, the technology advanced, and now you can get the levels, and it's just wild how that worked. But that's why. And there was another thing. by the time we see Chris and them, they dropped Criminal Minded. Even though we came out with Eagle Tripping first, the single, they dropped their album first before ours. We didn't drop our album till late 88.
Your album stretched like 3 years, because I remember seeing you guys perform at Club Sensations in New Jersey in like 89, and the hot song was Ease Back. And I'm thinking to myself, from the time you dropped Ego Tripping in like summer of 86, and Ease Back is still a single in like 89. I'm like, this album is, y'all been either working on it or milking it, I don't know how, for 3 years at least.
But see, that's the thing. Then you have Funky in between that.
But yeah, I know you had. Let's talk about that for a second. Let me get into Funky. Because you guys are the first guys to crack open that Woman to Woman.
Yeah, Joe Cocker.
That everybody who's ever touched that record has had a hit. And you guys were the first one. Like, why weren't you messing with James Brown? Just curious, because everybody was trying to find James Brown. You guys are messing with like the Meters and like Joe Cocker and.
Well, because that's why we had the name Ultramagnetic. We was trying to be different. So we just wanted to have our own lane, because you even had honky tonk woman, traveling at the speed of thought.
Right.
So that's why we just wanted our own lane. And see, the thing with the album too is this is why we didn't have Funky on the album, is because if we would have put all of the singles on that album, it would have been practically no new songs.
Oh, because there's another one in between there too.
Yeah, Eagle, MC Ultra Part 2. It was a few. We did a bunch of singles.
I'm hearing the record in my mind, but I can't think of the title. I don't want to stop and look. This is too small.
Bait. We had so many. Yeah,
Bait was just meant to be a promo.
Yeah, but it just took off so much.
Yeah, Red Alert used to play it all the time.
Yeah, and people used to request it.
And you had a promo for Chuck Chill Out as well.
Yes.
Yo, that acetate sold on eBay for like $6,000. The acetate to the Chuck Chill Out promo, $6,000. I was like, yo. That's bananas.
But see, once again, that's what it was. Artists back then loved the music so much. Everybody, because you remember Chris and them had a dope promo with D Nice on it.
Let's talk about the
TR-808 is coming. That shit was.
In the morning. Did you work on that?
No. That shit was. They used that sample from Dom Imus in the morning show.
Shout out to my man D Nice, by the way.
That shit was
ridiculous. For those that don't know, it was a promo on the Red Alert show only, but then D Nice remixed it for his album.
Yeah.
You worked on a record. Your name is in the credits with Scott. He did a song before Criminal Minded dropped where he went at biz with those beatbox guys, Narkim and Akeem. Did a record called You Can't Win, and they went at biz.
On B-Boy Records, yeah.
And your name is in the credit. You worked on that with Scott?
Yeah. Same thing.
So y'all was just working.
Yeah,
like
we had that whole thing together at B-Boy Records. We had that whole thing. We did a lot of things. We did the other KG, the dude KG.
Oh, yeah, KG, the WAP. He had the WAP? What was his big record? Was it WAP It? WAP.
Yeah, something like that. But,
no, I can't remember. Yeah, I remember KG.
We did a lot of things on that label. And see, that's what made it sad, because Scott Vision was Warner Brothers. Now, this was the thing. Chris wanted Jive.
Well, let's get into that.
Yeah.
So BDP was going to leave B-Boy Records after the Criminal Minded album.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, Warner Brothers, they had a deal on the table with Warner Brothers Records, wanted to pick up Boogie Down Productions.
A production deal.
Oh, so the group wasn't going to Warner Brothers, just they were going to produce on Warner Brothers?
No, it was the group, and that's where Chris got the whole BDP. See, Scott was the visionary for all of that, to be honest. Scott was so far ahead of business over us, it was laughable. We didn't see. This is why Chris wanted Jive. Now
Chris, I always thought Josh came after the fact.
No, Chris tells that story, but the deals, like I said, your brother, I love Chris, but he says things for shock value.
Okay.
Scott had both deals on the table.
Scott had Jive Records and Warner Brothers deals on the table at the same time.
And this was the issue. Jive was giving more upfront money, which, like I told you, Ultra was going to be on the deal with Warner Brothers.
Wait. So the deal with Warner Brothers was going to be Boogie Down Productions and Ultramagnetic?
And
so you guys are leaving
and D Nice and whoever else they had on who they was going to put on BDP.
Probably Miss Melody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what happened was Jive was offering more upfront money. And Scott was telling us that Warner Brothers was the best deal because we were getting all your publishing. We didn't know what publishing was because they didn't get a check from B-Boy Records for publishing. And we didn't get a publishing check from Next Plateau till after Scott's death. And when I got my first publishing check, I literally dropped on the floor in disbelief with the amount of money it was. You see, we thought royalties was the money when royalties is nothing. Because you was only getting at best a dime off the record. 10 points.
Right.
So if a record sold for $8, you was getting a dime off of that. That's what 10 points.
Which is criminal.
Yeah. So this is why Chris was like, money. Because there ain't no money, but Scott knew about the publishing. So this is why, like I told people, it was an assassination by the label's president, because this dude, Bill Camaro, was dirty. He did bootleg liquor. He had illegal porn.
He had porn.
Yeah. So what happened, Scott was up in the office every day because he was a partner. So he knew Scott was going over to the West Bronx. See, this is why they have to look, they don't want to open it back up because, it's us, our people.
Mm-hmm.
But the shooter was in place. Why do you think RoboCop disappeared?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's clear this up.
Yeah.
You're saying that Warner Brothers and Jive were two deals on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Scott wanted to go to Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Chris wanted to go to Jive.
Mm-hmm.
But B-Boy Records
wanted Jive because Warner Brothers, the contract they had with Scott and Chris at B-Boy was trash. Wouldn't hold up in court.
Right.
So Jive told B-Boy Records, kiss their ass. Warner Brothers told them, kiss their ass. Jive was offering a buyout. So the label wanted Jive because they was going to get paid. So they used the beef with D Nice to get rid of Scott.
That's a big accusation.
It's a big accusation, but look. Scott didn't smack nobody.
He didn't. So, okay, let's
look, I'm trying to explain you. So why is the only person who got shot was Scott?
Well, let's look at it.
You had 6 people in that Jeep.
D Nice makes the call. D Nice makes the call and says he has some beef uptown.
Mm-hmm. And
Scott
tells
the original
Bill,
RoboCop,
Yeah, Scott tells Bill, I got to go over to the Bronx, the Featherbed, projects, whatever. Just get this thing straight with D Nice. Now, I had spoke to Scott and I told him, leave that shit alone. I said, y'all got the garden coming up. Just tell D Nice to say, yo, I ain't going to fuck with her, whatever. Just leave it alone. But Scott, like I said, had a big heart. He said, nah, D's over there. I got to go. And he squashed it.
I remember. I heard that.
Listen, the whole thing was squashed for no reason at all. RoboCop gets out the car and smacks the kid. Why?
This is news right now. So you're saying that the kid that D Nice had beef with, Scott squashed it, and then RoboCop took it upon himself anyway to go and smack this kid.
He got out of. He was doing all of this. He's sitting in the Jeep. So obviously, this is my perception because I can't, He was told to make sure there's an incident. They was expecting the incident, but they said if all else fails, you start an incident. Why do you think they had to let the kid go? The kid would have to been the fucking Flash to get smacked, run upstairs, and shoot out the window, and then shoot at somebody who didn't smack him.
So you're saying that there was a shooter in position that knew where Scott was going to be.
Scott came up in the passenger seat. So he knew when they got in the Jeep, Scott was going to be in the passenger seat. So he gets hit in the neck. Look. For no reason. It's different if there was some kind of beef. It was squash. They was giving pounds and hugging kumbaya. And this man gets out. Then he disappears after all of this shit.
The shooter.
Get out. No.
RoboCop disappeared. So he never got back in the car.
No, he got back in the car. They drove off. Everybody gave an initial statement to the popo. Then he disappears. Here's your money. Get out of town.
So you think that RoboCop was in cahoots with B-Boy Records to set up Scott?
No, he didn't know. Understand this. He didn't know they were going to kill him. He was just told to make sure something happens. Make sure there's a beef. They pay them to make sure there's a beef. You see what I'm saying?
And so when Scott passed, because from my understanding, Warner Brothers didn't do the deal with BDP because they felt once Scott passed, they weren't getting BDP. They weren't getting a whole group. Like they were getting
That's possible, but what I'm saying is whether they wanted to do it or not, Chris was going to go with Jive.
Chris was going with Jive.
Because Jive was giving them more upfront money. You got to remember your brother was in the man shelter. I would have did the same thing. I'm not trying to hear back in.
So, I mean, it sounds like you're saying, so Chris knew something was going to happen?
No. Chris didn't know anything about the incident. I'm saying the label knew if they got Scott out the way,
Chris was going to go to Jive, and they were going to get a big check.
Look, I'm gonna give you a knowledge that I never told anybody.
Let's go. Thank you.
This is exclusive. We are in power play, working on Miss Melody. Me, Chris, and Miss Melody. Chris goes, Ced, show me how to work the MP. I mean the SP, the
SP 1200, yeah.
SP 1200. Because believe it or not, I'm going to be doing this all by myself real soon. He was going with Jive, regardless of what Scott was going to do. That's an exclusive.
So you're saying BDP was about to break up?
Yeah. I kept it on the low. I don't hold it. Put it like this.
Put it
like this. Put it like this. There could be other reasons why he said it, But this is what he told me. He said, believe it or not, I'm going to be doing this by myself real soon.
And Scott was alive when he said
Scott
this?
was alive. And there was nowhere near a D-Nice beef or anything. Because like I said, Chris wanted to go with Jive. It was more money.
So you're saying that if Scott didn't come with Chris to Jive, Chris was going solo to Jive?
Yeah. That's what I got from that statement. Maybe, like I said, he had other plans with it, but he wanted Jive. That's why he tells people he initiated the deal with Jive. Because he was
This is a big revelation, y'all. This is something that when I get Chris on this channel, we're going to have to really get into because this is really big.
Yeah.
So that means there was friction between KRS.
No, it wasn't friction.
It was a business disagreement.
Yeah, that's business. It wasn't like they had bad ends. Scott was explaining this would be better because we're going to get our publishing. Jive is giving us more because they're taking the publishing. Remember, Zomba Music. When you sign with Jive, they give you nice up front because you get no publishing.
Yes.
So Scott was trying to explain we're going to come out better here because we get our publishing.
But B-Boy Records would have gotten nothing out of the deal. I see.
Yeah, exactly. So with Jive, they got a buyout.
Yeah, now see, it was my understanding that Jive came after. Like, my understanding was that Warner Brothers was the only deal. And
no, I'm telling. Look, I'm telling you what I know. Talking to Scott LaRock.
Okay, yes,
that's in the house. He says we got Warner Brothers, we got Jive. If we get Jive, we got the publishing. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, the money. Scott's trying to explain it to me. No, but I didn't know what publishing was. Chris didn't know what publishing was.
Yeah, because y'all never seen publishing.
Yeah, we both, everybody, Kookie, everybody wanted money.
Right.
Wasn't no at odds with anybody. Everybody was just like, yo, the money. I would have co-signed with Chris on it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a business decision. Chris was saying he was tired of the man shelter. It had nothing to do with Scott. He was tired of the man shelter. He wanted to step out in the world and do stuff. So it was either Scott was coming with him. Now, like you said, once you get it on, you discuss it with him. But see, I don't know if he wanted to share that with the world. Just like he never really shared the Celebrity 3 with the world.
I mean, the Celebrity 3 was out there, but I mean,
that's why I always kept that secret. But I'm trying to show you the label had motive. They knew if they could erase him, then Chris was going that way. They ain't have to talk to Chris or nothing. They just know if we get rid of Scott, that sticking point.
Well, based on that, then why get rid of Scott? Because if Chris is gonna leave,
because Scott might have changed his mind. Remember, they were boys. So you get rid of the temptation. You take the snake out of the garden. Chris don't want to eat the apple, but the snake may convince him. So take the snake out the garden. Now there's no temptation. He's going to Jive. And he went to Jive and he did BDP and they had big success.
The rest is history. This is a big revelation, y'all. This is gigantic on the DJ Kenny Parker Show. Thank you, Ced-Gee. I mean, I don't even know where to go from there because without Chris being here to speak on it, maybe D-Nice might know something.
Maybe, but I think it was mainly Scott, Chris, because everybody else was secondary. Was their business.
Absolutely. Everybody, I agree. Everybody else was basically secondary in BDP. And Scott was really the leader.
I'm telling you, like I said, just like tonight, I gave you an honest breakdown of the album.
I appreciate that.
I'm telling you what Scott Sterling told me in the Ultra Lab with the silver wallpaper on the wall. He said, Jive is offering this one. Now, maybe this is what I'm saying. Maybe the Jive was an initial offering, but not a serious thing in place. And maybe after that happened, Chris went ahead and initialed it seriously.
But Chris told you out his mouth that I'm going to be doing production on my own.
Power Play Studio.
Which is what happened.
Power Play Studio, because what Chris did, I heard him tell a story where he did programming. Chris never touched the SB12 until we got the Power Play. Because like I said, when we did The Bridge Is Over, he went into the room because we didn't have time. He went into the room to rehearse the piano. You know, dum, dum, dum. He was rehearsing that because, you know, he doesn't have a piano, so he had to, you know.
Yeah, right. This is the first chance he gave. Well, this is gigantic breaking news.
And with Miss Melody, Doc was the engineer. And
shout out to DJ Doc, who I want to get on the channel. Yo, Doc, you got to come on here and talk. I'm going to hit you up.
Doc was the engineer, and he said, show me how to use this machine. And he programmed the beat that night for Miss Melody. He said, because believe it or not, I'm going to be doing this all by myself one day soon. So now, see, there's other meanings to that, though, too. That don't necessarily mean he was leaving Scott. Could have just meant he was going to do the production. See, so let's not assume.
Let's not assume. That's why I said.
This is why I'm saying. This is why I'm saying they were saying let's get rid of Scott.
I could see what Scott was a problem. I could see what Scott would be a problem.
Yeah.
For,
so
B-Boy Records,
Chris could have been saying it because just like he did, he went on and started doing production by himself. So he said the truth to me. Okay. And like I tell people, it's nothing wrong with that. People act like that's something wrong. I'm like, it's nothing wrong with somebody wanting to do their own beats. It's nothing wrong with that. It's life.
Yeah, and it works out.
See what I'm saying? There's a lot of dumb shit in music business, like when Marley Marl says, Ced-Gee stole my sample reel. Now, your brother agitated it, but what the fuck would I be stealing Marley Marl's sample reel when I... Look, understand this. I knew about Impeach the President before Marley Marl even knew about break beats. I been had the record sampled. Now, here's the thing. When Chris was doing the documentary, if you would put it out,
you guys have not seen the documentary. By the way, we talked about a documentary on the 25th anniversary of of Criminal Minded, but it has never come out. So what we're talking about is an interview that we all did. Chris said, I was there, but you guys have not seen you guys have not seen this footage of Marley Marl claims that you guys, Ultramagnetic, stole a 2-inch reel from him, from the studio, and on this reel had his drum sounds, and you used that to make The Bridge Is Over.
Yeah.
That was Marley's claim. You stole his reel.
Yeah, it's laughable.
And you're saying...
For one, I had a job. I had time to be hanging out in Power Play Studio. That's why I was able to get the SB12. I was working at an engineering firm, Lockwood Green, in the old Pan Am building, which is the MetLife building. Couldn't just hang out in Power Play. If I ain't have a session, I wasn't there. Now,
were you ever in the room with Marley Marl together?
No. Never.
You've never been in a studio room with Marley Marl?
Never, ever, ever. Never.
So where would he get this from?
Who knows? But the whole thing is, once again, see, it's different when you say something like you were the first to use it. But let's not act like Ced-Gee owned synthetic substitution.
Right.
Or Marley Marl owned Impeach the President. The people who produced those records, those bands, that was their shit. We all borrowed it. So it's laughable when a hip-hop producer try to act like they made the Bob James sounds or the James Brown sounds. You see what I'm saying? Now, we all use them in different ways. You see what I'm saying? The Bridge Is Over beat was different from the To the Bridge beat, Queensbridge beat.
Right.
See, now so this is what I'm saying. So A sample is a sample. No one owns a fucking sample. That's why it's called a sample. So it's the most ludicrous and craziest shit ever in the music business to hear people going, Tretch stole your beat. Or Marley Marl said you stole his beat. No, that's fucking substitution. I use it. They can use it. I didn't own exclusive rights to it. No, nobody owns exclusive rights to fucking samples unless you buy the real from the artist.
Right, the artist.
So it becomes laughable, this insanity. It's a joke. Just keep it real. Just say stuff that was real. You were the first to use it. Just like you said, y'all was the first to use the woman. That's it. We were the first to use it. But that didn't give us exclusive rights to it.
Right.
Joe Cocker owned those rights.
Right. Absolutely.
So
that's a valid point. That's valid.
No, it's not a point. It's reality. It's reality. Joe Cocker made the record. Not Ced-Gee. Not Dr. Dre. We all used it. You see? That's it. So it's like the craziest shit. It's just like, are people fucking that stupid, or they just caught up in the moment?
Well, that's Marley's story. You guys stole his reel, and we're gonna leave it at that.
Look. I didn't have a 2-track in my house. This is what I'm saying. You remember, I did my shit in the Ultra Lab.
Right. So you had to steal his 2-track and have a 2-track reel.
Yeah, so that means now I got to go back into the studio just to get. Come on, man. When I already look, I got the record in Peace to the President. I got the SB12. Remember, I told you I showed Paul how to take and make notes. I'll give you a perfect example. You see the record Break North on Critical Beatdown?
Mm-hmm.
You know the intro. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Public Enemy sampled that, right? And they made a record on the Greatest Hits and Miss albums. I can't remember the name of it, but that was the single. Mm-hmm. So it jumped off, and the president from Next Plateau went at, because they owned 50% of the publishing, and there was a minister in it.
Mm-hmm.
They went at Def Jam for that. Leor Cohen told them that's a sample. No, that was one guitar note played in multi-pitch. So I know about multi-pitch. I know how to pitch shit high and low. I've been doing that. Marley Marl, the shit was laughable. It's in Peace the President with the drums tuned up just a bit. That's all it was. Wasn't. Wow, I knew about In Peace the President. I knew about all break beats before Marley Marl ever knew about fucking break beats. I'm from the BX. I watched Herc. I snuck out my house, ran around the corner to see Herc playing on the corner of McComb's 82. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I knew about these records way before these people. It didn't get to Queens and Brooklyn until later. Those were disco boroughs, disco twins.
True.
All of these things were disco. See, a lot of this stuff is laughable. Hip hop was like I think my boy Charlie Rock said it from Zulu Kings. He said hip hop was like the bastard son that nobody wanted to claim. But then when the son grew up and went to the NBA, everybody claimed it. Oh, that's my boy.
Looks just like me.
None of these people were doing hip hop. They were saying, I ain't no fucking B-boy. A B-boy was like a piece of spit. B-boy and B-girls. The disco era, they was wearing the gabardine slacks and the hard bottom shoes.
Mm-hmm.
This is who these people were. Now, the only difference was, the disco twins and all of them, they played in big hip hop functions at the Autobahn and Rennie.
Mm-hmm.
But just like I said, Hollywood would let Flash come on and do a little set. That's why they had it. It was like a break. After you get all the hip hop DJs playing the beats, now you bring on the disco DJs and you get the Love Is the Message and all the disco and my boy Mad Hatter, Disco Chip, he starts doing his thing. See, it was a whole thing. But now people want to crisscross lanes because hip hop grew
Hip-hop
up
blue. Right.
to be Michael Jordan.
Right.
And disco left.
Right.
Disco went out like a chump. So now all these disco cats want to make it like they were hip hop. And a lot of their names said it. Like when somebody said, bless to my boy Disco King Mario, loved him. But he told you what he was. Disco King. They're like, Mario was the first hip hop DJ. No, he was a disco DJ. He was a great disco DJ. There's nothing wrong with it. He said it. I'm the Disco King.
Mm-hmm. I mean yeah. I mean,
it was different record selections. Do you understand? When you went there, you had more conventional what radio was playing, with the exception of records like Bra, Doom, 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 Doom. That was like a universal hip hop.
Right.
CJ and Company, we got our own thing. You see, these were records that they played at both, but the disco was more of that. You see what I'm saying? Yes. The hardest a disco DJ would get would be like Dance to the Drummer's Beat. And then the universal Love is a Message.
Right.
See, so this is what I'm saying. You got people, and for commercial reasons, they're saying things because people are their boys, and I understand it. But if you're going to tell a story, tell the truth.
I agree, and that's what we're here for. We thank you so much, Seth, for breaking it down.
Let this man come out and tell me he wasn't throwing B-boys out at 371. Let Hollywood come and tell me to my face he wasn't throwing B. We couldn't get in. He used to tell you, take that shit down the block. We don't do that here. But now he's, oh my goodness. Let's go, man. I'm done.
I don't want to hold you to. We're at an hour and a half. I'm gonna end soon. I wanted to ask you one more thing.
Okay, bro.
We got so many comments. I didn't get to any comments, and we just talking so much history. So
I mean, we gotta do a part 2 and deal with the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk real quick about beefs. You were also part of another gigantic beef record, which probably sparked the beginning sparks of the East Coast West Coast feud.
It was the start of it.
Okay, let's take it there. It was the start.
Yeah.
You were part of the song Tim Dog, rest in peace to Tim Dog. Fuck
Allegedly.
Wow, you're saying alleged. Let's get in. Let's get in there, Seth. Let's get in, Seth.
There's no death certificate.
Let's start with you produced that song, yes.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you this. Once again, that whole East Coast, West Coast beef was made. It was supposed to have been Tim and Dre and them. But Dre and them didn't want no parts of Tim. They didn't want no parts. That's why he brought in Snoop to address it. And that's why in the movie they didn't even touch it. They act like it didn't happen. And the sad part is that I heard something on some small channel where they was trying to make it sound like Fuck Compton wasn't really a big record.
That was a #1 rap song.
Exactly. It was a #1 rap song for fucking 12 weeks in Billboard. Unheard of, with no mainstream radio play. 12 weeks, #1.
Why did you guys go at NWA?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the history. So now Tim Dog is staying with me, my family.
Mm-hmm. What year is this?
This is after Critical. This is like 1990-ish.
Okay.
So Tim is staying with us, and I'm shopping Tim. So I go to the next plateau, and Eddie O'Loughlin, he got his head down because the cursing. Tim had to step to me, which was on his Penicillin on Wax. It was a different beat.
This was before Fuck Compton.
Yeah, that's what we was shopping. There was
Okay.
no Fuck Compton. We was shopping Step to Me, but a different beat.
Okay.
So you know, the cursing is there. Eddie says, Cedric, you know I don't deal with that kind of language. If you can clean it up. So now I go to Kurt Woodley at Sony Roughhouse.
Mm-hmm.
He was Joe the Butcher's A&R up in New York. So I take the Step to Me up in there, and Kurt Woodley, who you initially started at Uptown Records with Andre Harrell and them,
Mm-hmm.
who Andre later replaced with Puffy, or Diddy as people call him. But anyway,
Right. We know Miss Puffy, yeah.
Yeah. So I sit down and Kurt goes, yo, Sad, I like Tim, but I'm gonna tell you how we gonna get a deal. You gonna take Tim back in the studio, have him write a record dissing them niggas on the West Coast. He said, put him on the Chorus Line beat, because that's how Tim got his name, from Chorus Line.
Right, that track. I said that track was similar. You already had that track.
Yeah, this is what I'm telling you where this thing came from.
Okay.
So he goes, put them on Chorus Line, diss them niggas from the West Coast. Here's a studio budget for the demo deal. He gives us that. I go in, I do Fuck Compton, then we do Wild in the P Now. Rest is history. But it was all orchestrated. That's why Tupac, rest in peace, said when Suge Knight bailed him out of jail, he thanked him and said, I don't know how I'm going to repay you. He said, don't worry about it. You know how you're going to repay me? You're going to diss them motherfuckers from the East Coast. This was all orchestrated. The whole thing was orchestrated by the labels. Now, who was behind it? The Spin Guards were the ones who got Death Row their distribution deal. No, remember, during this time period we're talking about in the early 90s, all radio had took that position, no gangster rap. Remember?
Yes.
So Death Row couldn't get a distributor. So the Spin Guards, who owned Seagram's Gin and Cooler, gave them the instructions for East Coast, West Coast shit down the line. Now let me show you how the proof. Once again, I'm gonna show you the whole bag. As soon as all the killing started, right? And after Tupac and Biggie went down, Seagram's dropped Death Row and said, we don't advocate gangster music. When you picked the shit up, it was gangster music.
And they made hundreds of millions.
Yes, so all they did was clean their hands. They were behind the whole shit. That's why as soon as they got out the picture, Suge lost all his.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all orchestrated. That was told for us to do. Then he went with it. So and what happened with Tim, he strayed off. They didn't want, see, after Step to Me, they wanted him to do another diss record, but he wanted to drop another joint. So, and Tim went crazy, started stealing from the label, all types of shit. So they had to replace him. And tell me Biggie and Tim don't look the same.
Well, they have a similar style, but
no, they even look the same. They both had the crooked eyes. I mean, I can go on and on.
So, well, wait.
Same skin tone.
So you're trying to say, well, not trying to, you're saying that you guys were told to make Fuck Compton to start the beef.
Yeah.
By a record label exec.
I was told, if you want to give him a deal, I'm going to give you the demo budget. I need you to take Tim in, put him back on that Chorus Line beat, and have him diss them niggas from the West Coast.
This is gigantic news right here, Ced you're giving us. I've never heard this before. This is gigantic.
But this is what all this stuff is orchestrated because, see, at the end of the day, they always want to make us look like savages. Because when you study psychology, they tell you to change a people's mindset, all you have to do is change their economics and their condition, and they will change. what they want to show the world is that so-called niggas is untamable. You can give them all the money in the world and they'll just get worse. They want to kill you because you're on the other side of town. When usually, like if you take a bum, he got no money, you clean him up, you put some money in his pocket, he walks with bad posture, you put him in a Hollywood suit, his posture changes. Put him with some shades, clean him up, his posture changes, his whole attitude changes. They want to show the world that we are so-called animals. And this is why it continues till today. As long as we're seen as animals, the world will be insensitive to when they hear these things, youth killed in the Bronx for no reason. And that's why the dude in Florida will say he had the hoodie on. See, it was fitting a description that they've been told these are animals. So you got to defend yourself immediately. And this is what the music industry continues to do. And that's why prison and all this stuff has always been promoted. Prison is the biggest business in the world.
Yes, billions are made.
So they've created a culture. They've created a culture where the kids are proud to go to prison and make the state billions of fucking dollars in bonds with their prison label. See, it's a game. That's why all the private companies started investing in the prison. They knew the prisons were going to be filled. There's a culture created to get to jail and be proud of it. Niggas brag about it. Yeah, I did a bid. It wasn't shit. I was up. State done made like $6 billion off your dumb ass, and you bragging about how you got used and abused.
That's a sad commentary right there.
Understand, when you get arrested, they prepare 3 bonds: a bid bond, performance bond, and assurance bond. Now, I forgot the totals of them, but they're big money. This is why you always offer the plea, because you must lose so that those bonds are active. So it's all money making. And they make you the labor. That's what gives the bond the value. So they created a culture where motherfuckers is just giving themselves up for these companies and states to make billions of dollars off of them. And they brag about it. Meanwhile, the judge, his kid goes to Ivy League schools, got yachts and mansions. And y'all out here with trap music killing one another.
Absolutely. And so your argument is that it's all orchestrated. Everything from the time
it's always been
orchestrated.
See, let me tell you what happened. If you look at the history of music, they always put us in a position where the man isn't the man. Now, there's nothing wrong with a man saying he's not a man, right? Because everybody have a choice, but they always try to sell certain images. So what happened when rap came, hip hop came, it changed. All of a sudden, you saw people like your brother. You saw people like Chuck D. And these people were intelligent about their business. They didn't want that. They want the motherfucker. You see, this is an image. We can't be intelligent, smart, and about the business. The dumber you are today, the more money you make.
That's fact. That's a fact.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's always orchestrated. So now the kids know if I'm intelligent, I ain't making no money. But if I'm stupid, I can get paid. If I don't even know how to put a sentence together, I can get paid.
Let me touch on this real quick since you touched on it. You're saying that Tim Dog allegedly has passed. You're saying you don't believe he's dead?
I know for a fact he's not dead. Well, he could be dead now.
Whoa. You say you know for a fact that at the time when he was pronounced, when it was in the newspaper that Tim Dog was dead, that you know for a fact he was not dead.
Yeah. And I got witnesses.
So he faked his death.
Yeah, because he lost some lawsuits and he had to pay people back their money, and the only way out was not to be here.
It's not easy to fake your death, though.
I know, but this is why he had to do it. It took 2 years to pull it off because the initial lie was exposed. Red Alert will be my witness on this. They called me, Red and Sham, and they told us Tim died in the hospital in Atlanta on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Red Alert, because Red stays in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He says, yo, don't worry, I'm going to call the hospital and get all the information. There's only 2 hospitals in Atlanta. So he calls the hospital and we give him the name, Tim Blair. And they said, no. They said, no, Tim Blair died on Valentine's Day in the hospital. Now, here was the shocking part. They said not only did Tim Blair didn't die in the hospital, there were no deaths on Valentine's Day in the hospital in Atlanta. Now, certain family members of Tim and all of them had told us it was a hospital. And one family member even said he spoke to the doctor at the hospital.
Mm.
So now, after that, so they're asking for us to, do these things and ask for money. And I'm like, I'm not going to participate in a scam. Because like I told you, Tim had got to the point, as you know, he was on Dateline for scamming. He was on Dateline NBC. You can pull it up. Dateline NBC, Tim Dog.
For scamming who?
Women, people, clubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he had to escape all of that with death. So anyway, I said, I'm not doing that. And then people say Ced and them was in on it. I said to his sister, all you got to do is show me the death certificate. She told me she had it. Did you hear what I just said? She said she had it. Then she said, I'm going to go get them cremated. And we know you can't cremate somebody without a death certificate. You just can't walk in with bodies and say,
right.
This is what she told us. So now, no death certificate, nothing. So then a whole year later, another story comes out. He didn't die in a hospital. He died in a hospital. And because his wife had no money, she had the state cremate him, which they don't give you the death certificate because you might be trying to collect the insurance. It was a whole new story, which if that was the story, Kenny, and you're trying to get us to do functions to raise money for the kids and everything, you just say that. There's no death certificate. The state did it. See, it was a whole nother story. This is what I'm saying. Unless you know the intricacies, you don't know this. It was a whole nother story when it was something simple. They had this.
Simple. The truth is simple.
No, but they was trying to get money too. They were asking people. This is when I got suspicious. They were asking people to send money to a PayPal account. So I'm like, PayPal account? I thought it's for the daughter. Shouldn't it be a fund? See, like when Jam Master Jay died, there was a fund. Heavy D had a fund for his. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this was a PayPal account with some kind of crazy name on it. So my antennas are flying. So even with that, if that's the case, let's just say it's a scam, whatever. But you want us to speak, and you have the story that can make us speak and get people to send the money, right? You just say, yeah, it's no death certificate. We didn't have the money, so the state cremated him. And it's done. We're there talking.
Right.
But it took a whole year because it was like, oh, shit, they caught the first lie. What can we do now? They know it's no death certificate because that was the first thing when they said hospital, we also got the newspapers because when people die, your obituary is in the newspaper the next day. No obituary. So the only way that happens is when it's in a hospital. So they figured that out and came with that later, and that's when everybody backed off and just accepted it. What was amazing about that whole Tim Dog thing, like I said, with no confirmation of death, BET, all of these MTV, all of these stations were reporting it as if it was fact.
Yes.
That's what was amazing. With no kind of proof of anything.
This is a big. You come with some really big bombs on here tonight, Ced-Gee, in my opinion, that I haven't heard, and we really appreciate it. We are talking, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking to Ced-Gee of the Ultramagnetic MCs. My name is DJ Kenny Parker. This is DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wow, I'm gonna end with, after that. I'm gonna end with a couple. There's so many comments and so many questions.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll come back. I need to get to
just
that.
quick comments.
I see one comment real quick here. I'm gonna ask this because this seems interesting. CC says, "Hi, Kenny and Ced-Gee. Ced-Gee, are there any songs done during Criminal Minded that didn't make it on the album and are still unreleased that you know of?"
Wow, I really have to tap the memory
that you might have worked on.
Yeah, I so long ago. I will have to.
You talking 40?
There's ultra songs I hear today. I go, and I got verses on. I go, oh shit, when did I do that? When did I do that? So I will have to check the archives on that. I can't say that one offhand. Can't say yay or nay.
Cool. Well, we're gonna cut it here. We're almost at 2 hours, and I once again said I really appreciate you coming on the channel and clearing things up as best we can. And you cleared some things up and opened up more questions for later on. So that's dope. Where can people get in touch with you? Do you have any kind of social media that you want to share? People want to come and holler at you?
Yeah, the IG is The Real Official Ced-Gee. The real official Ced-Gee. You can holler at me there.
Check out Ced-Gee. I'm gonna look at all you guys' comments afterwards because we just here having our own personal conversation, which has been absolutely fantastic. And once again, thank you, Ced-Gee of the Ultramagnetic MCs. And thank you for missing the Knick game to talk to us tonight. And we're gonna sign off shortly. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm gonna read the comments right now. Ced-Gee, my dude, always love.
Yeah, we can come back and do the comments, you know.
Yeah, we come back and do the comments
or whatever, because we don't want to leave people's questions linked.
There's so many, but we're gonna leave because we're at 2 hours, so I'm gonna leave it at this and let people absorb.
Yeah, we'll just do a comment show, like we won't go into any discussion.
You brought the noise, and I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna check off, y'all. Till next time, said peace and love always. I'm gonna check out the end of this game too, and we out.
All right, peace and love.
Peace.